that since everybody was already really quiet, but there we go. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Johnson County Library Board of Directors, coming to you from Monticello Library on Wednesday instead of our usual Thursday, because tomorrow we have the privilege of observing Veterans Day, and if you're an Anglophile, Remembrance Day. So I have my poppies on for that, which is an English tradition to mark remembrance. Do we have any citizens' comments? Does not look like it. So anything from you, Sean, that was emailed in?
There's no emails from the public this week.
Okay, fantastic. Then we will just go ahead and move on. Do we have any comments from the members of the library board? Is that someone dialing in? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no, and I do not have any comments today other than it is good to be here. Glad to see everybody is still doing well, and we are ever closer to returning to pre-pandemic things, so that's always nice to see. I don't know if bold enough yet to call it normal, but we are well on our way, which is nice. And we are ready to hear from the Friends of the Library. Is that Shanta Dickerson today, or is that you, Christopher?
Shanta was unable to make it today. I'm here on the Friends' behalf. Thank you, and sorry for the confusion of this last minute change
Well,
out.
it's lovely to see you anyway, sir.
It's always a pleasure to see you and the rest of our board. Thank you very much. And good afternoon. We really appreciate the opportunity to report on behalf of the Friends of Johnson County Library. 3 subjects, briefly, for our report tonight. Our very popular book donation drop-off events are now scheduled indefinitely. We've had really great response to our communication through social media mostly about the ability of our residents and others interested in donating to the Friends to drive to the Friends in Pine Ridge Office Park. We thought it would be confusing. It hasn't appeared to be. And we're swimming in donations. And we're just going to continue that, weather permitting. We have a Friends board member on duty and many teen volunteers. This is another service the libraries, the Friends are providing, because some of our teens aren't able to volunteer in our branches, so they're getting those credit hours by volunteering with the Friends at the drop-off events, and all of that contributes to success. We did have board member Kilgore visit us on a Saturday, and it was very busy. I hope you remember. Last night, we had our annual meeting with the Friends, adopted our 2022 budget, and welcomed a new slate of officers, incoming President Chris Meyer, who's the head of marketing for Block Real Estate, and Shauna Eichenborg is our president-elect. We retained 2 board members, Vicki Denk and Diane Carlisle. We're going to have a series of little orientation meetings through December and January to get everyone up to speed and continue the good work that we're doing on behalf of Johnson County Library. Third up, strategic plan review. We're having a retreat this Saturday to review our progress on our current strategic plan. It's rather tedious to go through point by point and list all your little accomplishments, but it's very important to measure your progress in order to understand if you are indeed making any progress and whether you should change your course. So we have accomplished quite a bit on our list of tactics, achieving the goals in advocacy and fundraising on behalf of Johnson County Library. But we always want to keep our finger on our own pulse to make sure we're taking the right steps. So we have 2 hours scheduled at Antioch Library, where we, last night, as a little side note, got to use the incredible OWL technology for a hybrid meeting that was partly in person and partly remote, and it was very effective and easy to use, so we're grateful to the IT squad for making that available to us. Have you any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Stephanie?
Hi, everybody. I will say at the Friends meeting, we got to use the OWL, but if you were in person, you got snacks. They were delicious. So It was a really good meeting. It was a really good year-end meeting. As for the foundation, I have one final wrap-up for Library Let's Loose 2021. We had wonderful coverage in the Independent magazine, which is the magazine where you need to be in if you have a fundraiser. So there are little copies at all your places, but it's a really nice spread. And a few of you are in it. David's in it, and Kelly's in it. So it's nice to have this kind of representation to our community about our fundraising activities. Let's see. And the website, if you want to see some videos, go to the website. It's got some wonderful videos from our virtual event. The foundation is moving into the fourth quarter with plans for year-end giving. So our annual campaign has started. The theme is Making a Difference for 25 years. And I put a card at your place because this was the 25th anniversary for the foundation, and we're excited to have that accomplishment, and we're excited to look forward to the next 25 years. And we do have a comprehensive campaign, digital media, website, mailing, social media, and so on. So we're looking forward to seeing how that works. And keep in mind, Giving Tuesday is November 30th, and that'll be a great day for online giving. As we wrap up 2021, the Foundation's November board meeting will be next week, and like the Friends, it's the year-end meeting. So we'll recognize outgoing board members and welcome new board members, and we will vote on a new slate of officers. I do want to note, for the record, our president this year has been Chris Anderson. He's been a wonderful volunteer and leader. And the 2022 incoming president is Ava Christie. So we're excited for these volunteers to continue their inspirational leadership. I probably said it before, volunteer leadership is remarkable. You guys are part of it. The Friends are part of it. The Foundation volunteers. It's you go above and beyond to make our library a better place. And so that's really about it. Are there any questions?
Doesn't look like it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And Commissioner Hanslick could not make it today due to a scheduling conflict, so I'm going to share with you what I have been reading. It is in no way academic or erudite. It is a fantasy novel that's a little Ocean's 11 capery, if you like such things, called The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch. It is a rip-roaring good time. It is very clever, and you have all kinds of capery bad guys and cleverness, but it's all, medieval and weird and awesome. So should you be looking for something non-academic to enjoy over your holidays upcoming, I highly recommend that series for roguish thievery and cleverness. And that is all from me. So, Mr. Logan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was asked to comment on what is an MOU, and I think you're all familiar with that, but I think it would be useful for me to talk about what it means in the context of the library and what it's kind of come to mean. It stands for Memorandum of Understanding, and the way that we have come to use it is that it tends to be a little bit less formal than, say, a full-blown contract or agreement of certain kinds. So, for example, in the relationships that we have with other county agencies, we tend to use the MOU or Memorandum of Understanding. Facilities MOU is a good example of that. And it spells out the relationship, but it doesn't have the usual kinds of extensive terms on jurisdiction and venue and all of that sort of thing. There's usually not dollar amounts that are involved. And so, we tend to use that format. I mean, a memorandum of understanding is basically a contract, though, just so you know, from a legal perspective. it's still a contract or an agreement, but we tend to use that MOU language or Memorandum of Understanding language when we're talking about agreements with other agencies, and there's not necessarily, it's more describing tasks and assignment of responsibilities as opposed to schedules, say on construction or payment of money and that sort of thing. So I think you're going to be seeing quite an impressive number of MOUs next month that we're presently reviewing that are renewals for the most part, and whether it's with a city or with another county department or agency. So I think that's an explanation. Are there any questions about MOUs? Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Casserly, it's your ball game.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first thing that I'd like to mention is we need to make an amendment to the minutes, a change to the minutes. I think I misquoted that we were getting, previous month, that we were getting rid of all the clerk positions. That's not true. I think with many of our clerks reading that, they were shocked. I misspoke. What I meant to say was page positions, and we're phasing those out as people leave the organization. So technically, I need a motion to correct last month's minutes, and that we can go ahead and make those changes.
I'll make a motion to correct the minutes as Sean stated.
I need a second, please.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that for our records and for our staff.
The next is like Dave Vratney to come up and give the financial report.
Thank you, Sean. Good afternoon, Board. So I'm going to direct you to page 9 of your report. It's the Johnson County Library Total Revenue Report. We're looking at the time frame as of the end of September of 2021. So we're about 75% of the way through our fiscal year. And as of the end of September, we had collected a little over $40.15 million in revenues, which has us a little around the 96th percentile in terms of total budget revenues expected, which is slightly ahead of where we were last year and seems on track to where I would expect it to be at this point in time. And then if you looked at it, our expenses for all funds, including our collection encumbrance, we've spent just a little under $30 million, and that represents roughly 72% of budget. So our expenses are tracking a little bit lower than where we would be typically at this point in time. So there should probably be a little bit of savings based on what I'm seeing to date. So with that, I'll take any questions you might have. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'd invite Adam Wathen to come up and give the circulation report. And it says Lacey Griffin would be giving the collection report on the iCurate. Lacey is unable to make it here due to a family emergency, and so Adam will be giving her report today.
That's right. Thank you. I'm Adam Wathen, Associate Director for System-Wide Services. And this month I'll be presenting our core operational statistics, and then I will give some statistics on our collections and how patrons use them. And then I will be giving Lacey Griffin's report, which is a short presentation on a study that we had done on our collections. Slide. So we start by looking at circulation trends like every month. These statistics are through September, and you can see that the physical circulation continues to pace about 20 to 25% lower than the 2019 trend line. And the digital usage trend shows that 2021 continues to pace about 25% higher than the 2019 trend line. It also continues to pace under 2020, which of course in that year, COVID drove patrons to our e-content when we closed our buildings. And so it was a bit of an anomaly. The next trend shows our visitation. And That 2021 continues to pace about, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong paragraph all of a sudden. Visitation continues to be half of our 2019 levels. And as I've indicated in other months, a big reason for lower visitation includes continuing COVID-19 ripples and our central resource library being under construction. And of course, with that under construction, we have limited access to Central's meeting rooms, study rooms, makerspace, and collections, which drives a lot of door count for us. Any questions on those before I turn to our collection use statistics? Okay. So I'll transition here to a profile of our collection circulation. And so please feel free to ask any questions you might have as I go through these slides, in case things aren't clear to you. The first slide shows our collection broken into formats. And the first chart there on the left shows the number of items in those formats. And the second chart on the right shows the circulation of those formats. You can see that our fiction collection shows the most difference, with 43% of our items being in the fiction collection in the blue there. And then on the right, it provides 55% of our circulation. Alternatively, our nonfiction collection is about 30% of our collection size, but 19% of our circulation. And you might expect this because we generally need more nonfiction items on our shelf just in case people want to use them. So for example, it's important that we have books on taking certain tests or Christmas cookbooks, even if they aren't always circulating or even if they're only seasonal circulation. The next slide.
Adam, hold on before
yeah.
you go on.
Yeah,
sorry.
please.
With the nonfiction, we still have like encyclopedias and that kind of stuff, right?
Absolutely,
I mean, that's
we
still
have
a thing?
reference. We do have reference materials and in all age groups, and so
And
there
so
are-
that would just be on the shelf all the time as a part of the nonfiction collection.
That's right.
Okay.
So those are nonfiction titles as well.
Thank you.
So the next slide shows collection counts and circulation broken out by audiences. And we generally break our collections and our programming into 4 different audiences. Easy refers to our early literacy category, and those are children under 6 years old. Our juvenile includes those children ages 6 to 12 or our elementary ages. Teen includes children 13 through 18, and then although the top end of teen gets blurry sometimes, and sometimes we consider college students as well. Adult, of course, is everyone over 18, and that is an enormous group, including people of many different age groups and situations, and it's definitely our largest contingency. So you can see that our adult collection reflects that. It makes up about 2/3 of our content, but you can also see that adult collection represents only about 46% of our circulation. It's really our easy and our early or our early literacy content that represents 10% of our collection, but 33% of our circulation. And of course, in this age group, parents are often checking out multiple books every visit for reading at bedtime or story time. They're smaller books generally. And those families often visit the library more frequently than adults might otherwise. Our 3-week loan period for most materials sets a rhythm for some adults when they visit the library, and so they might check out things only every 3 weeks, whereas families with small children may visit the library weekly, which changes the volume of circulation that collection gets. So these are some of the different use cases and patron behaviors that might be driving these circulation statistics. Any questions on that one? Okay. The next slide shows our circulation trends for AV, and that's our audiovisual collections. That's our DVDs, our audiobooks, and CDs. And so you can see these categories in each of those. A large drop from, here I'm showing fiction and nonfiction as well. So AV is in the orange, and then fiction and nonfiction. In each of these categories, you'll see a large drop from 2019 to 2020 as we close down for COVID-19. And then you can see that the fiction and nonfiction collections are bouncing back a bit in 2021. But the AV is still pacing at a lower level, lower than 2020 even. While both the book and audiovisual markets have been disrupted by COVID-19 and supply chain problems over the last 2 years, it's very clear that the audiovisual market is taking the bigger hit. There are many indicators that we are watching in the AV markets. We're seeing direct-to-consumer streaming rates increasing, where the physical media is no longer produced and where the demand has dropped for library materials. This is both in video and in audio media. And we're also seeing more exclusive content being produced that isn't available to libraries, often content that is exclusive to a streaming service is not produced on DVD or audio CD, and is not available to libraries. So we've been watching this trend in AV for many years, and this is really the first time that we've seen an indicator of lower circulation several years running. We will certainly continue to watch these trends and act accordingly. And the next few slides show the collection size compared to circulation at a finer level. The first one here focuses on adult collections. You can see the orange bar represents the number of items in the collection, while the blue bar represents the circulation of that collection. I've indicated the average number of times each item circulates after the blue bar. And I've combined the circulation for 2019, 2020, and 2021 because 2020 and 2021 are fairly anomalous in terms of the data. And so together that makes a better indicator of what those, how those collections are circulating and helps us compare them across those 3 years instead. You can see that our large print has circulated at an average of 13 times per item, and graphic novels have circulated an average of 15 times per item over those 3 years. Adult fiction and nonfiction have circulated in average rates of 5 times and 7 times per item over the same time period. And then in the next slide, you'll see our AV collections. You can see that video games and fiction DVDs circulate above 10 times per item on average. Audiobooks, music CDs, and nonfiction DVDs circulate between 6 and 8 times per item, so a little bit lower. And then the final slide shows our children's collections. Teen items circulate about 6 times per item, while juvenile nonfiction circulates at 8 times per item. Juvenile fiction carries about the same rate as easy nonfiction, about 14 times per item. And then our biggest turnover item, easy fiction, for our youngest patrons, which is 23 times per item since 2019. And so you can see how that easy category drives our circulation, even though it's only 10% of our collection size. In the future, we're looking to be able to represent this kind of data in genres as well, so that you can compare mysteries to thrillers to romance books. Right now, our data doesn't allow us to easily compare those, but our collection staff are working on changing the way that we map our materials in our data to be able to measure that in the future, but we can't do that today. Any questions for me about this report before I give Lacey's report?
I didn't realize you had this information. So basically every book has, in your computer, every time somebody checks it out, it registers that it's been checked out. So
Yes.
if over, I don't know, a period of 3 or 4 years, that book's not really circulating, is that how you kind of decide what to pull?
Yeah, I have to say that our collection development team is extraordinarily data-driven. And so they don't have the time to really look at individual titles and go all the way through those books or read every book that's in the collection because there's so much volume. And so they really do look at numbers, and they have large spreadsheets. They have spreadsheets that they have to break up because it can't be opened because it's too big. And what they do is then they are able to sort those to say, yes, these are the copies that are not circulating very well, or these are the copies that have so many copies on shelf that it's not valuable to have all of those, so we'll weed some of those copies. So instead of having 100 copies that are sitting on our shelves, we'll pare that down to maybe 20 or 25. And then when it gets older, maybe it goes to 5 copies. And so they go away through attrition over the years as interest wanes. Okay, let's step into Lacey's presentation. So this summer, one of our book vendors, which is Ingram, they began to market a new product for collection diversity audits called iCurate Inclusive. And with iCurate Inclusive, libraries can purchase a one-time assessment of the diversity of their physical book collection. And we went ahead and did that with Ingram. So next slide. These pie charts are a broad representation of the percentage of items in Johnson County Library's collection that fit into at least one iCurate Inclusive category. And these charts compare our library to the averages for all of the public libraries that participated in the Ingram assessments. For all public libraries in the study, about 14% of physical book collections included diverse titles, and Johnson County Library is equal to this national average.
Adam, before you go on, can you define for us what you mean by diverse?
Yeah.
What they're, I mean, unless you're going to get here.
Yep, next slide, and
Okay,
I'll get
fantastic.
there. So on the next slide, the product, it breaks down those 14% into 11 different categories. And so Ingram has identified titles of Asian interest, Black interest, Indigenous interest, Jewish interest, Latinx interest, LGBTQIA+ interest, mental health, Middle Eastern interest, multicultural, which means multiple or unspecified marginalized ethnic groups or cultures that are represented, Muslim interest, and then neuro and physical diversity. And so we got measurements in each of these categories, and you can see that our library is in the blue and public library averages are in the green. And we fall very close to the public library average in almost every category. The biggest discrepancy is 0.5% in the Black interest category. So is that what you were looking for?
How are they deciding how these books, I mean, is this a,
Sure.
a database that they tick the boxes in, and then if we
Yeah.
have that book in our collection, then that's how they tally this up?
That's right. That basically our book vendors have cataloging staff on hand that are translating what the publishers are creating into library database worthy data.
Okay.
And so they're adding subject headings, or they're adding call numbers. They're doing things like that to prepare those books for the library market. And then we buy that data from them, and we buy books from them. And so they end up with an enormous database of lots of metadata about the books and the publishing industry. And so what they decided to do, because they're the intermediaries, is determine, okay, if the book has these kinds of qualities, we'll put it in this category. And I suspect that what they've done, I haven't looked in detail at this like Lacey has, but I suspect that what they've done is they've done a sampling, and it's not every book that they're measuring. It's really, do you have this, what number of the sampling do you have? So on the next slide, we were really excited to see that Johnson County Library is in line with public library averages designated by Ingram. And with this new baseline data, the Collection Development Department put together action items to focus on for the next 2 years. They've put an emphasis on Black and Indigenous interest titles while keeping up our current practices. The department not only uses vendor recommendations and publisher data to find a variety of titles, but we use award lists, social media, interest group blogs, publications, and we track trends with independent and self-published groups, and we take patron recommendations. And we're looking into practices with our own catalog and how we assess the circulation and the genre of a title. And we're also looking into our practices when we purchase series titles and how changes to that practice may help underserved interest groups in series. The Collection Development Department is looking into assessing the collection every 2 to 5 years, expanding diversity audits for our digital collections, and working with our county partners at Ames to compare this information with our community demographics. And so, do you have any other questions about anything in those reports?
Was there any data on the difference between our collections, that if this is across the collection as a whole, or if it's particularly weighted at either adult or mid-grade, young adult, or
Yeah,
easy read levels?
I believe that the report is, it's deep enough that it does break into those categories and tells us really in focused ways where we might have a deficit or where we might be ahead of the curve. And so we wanted to present very high-level data to you today, but we do have data that the collection development team is able to use for specific collections and to target specific collections or audiences.
Okay, fantastic, thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say good job, because I'm glad you're looking at all that data from time to time, and I think it's probably well worth it to do. What would you say, it once every 2 to 5 years or something like that?
They're
That's
wanting to
probably
put it
about
on a
right.
cycle and try to figure out, because the collection doesn't, it changes about every 5 years, that the average age of our collection is about 5 years. And so if you're doing it a lot faster than that, it's maybe a little too fast. And if you're doing it slower than that, it's too slow.
Yep.
Yep, thank
Good
you.
job.
That was a really great report. I'd like to invite Scott Syme to come up and give his report on the Comprehensive Library Master Plan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Scott Syme, Project Coordinator for the library. I'll talk a little bit about Central, Antioch, and give an overall capital project timeline update today. I'll start with Central. So today, I'll give you an update on usage, Little Central usage, construction, next steps, and timeline. Here is a look at our monthly user visits over on the left. So you'll see, well, what this data shows is that visitation and PC usage, which is over on the right, are back up after that 2-week closure in August, where we were working on the power and the HVAC. So that's good to see. Next slide. Construction update. The exterior work is nearly complete at Central. The main interior work is complete. Titan, who is our construction manager, is working on punch list items, those things that need a little bit more attention before they're done, and also on FF&E, which is furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Tours are continuing. If you're interested, let me know, and we can get you out there and check out the building. We received our temporary certificate of occupancy earlier this month, which is a big deal. That is this kind of transition point between when the construction manager is finishing and when the library takes responsibility again for the site. It means we can occupy the building again. It's a big milestone, and it's, I already mentioned that, okay. So we're transitioning to move in, so you'll see fewer construction photos from me going forward and more moving furniture and collections and IT stuff around photos in the future. Next slide. I'm happy to bring you an anticipated opening date for Central today. That date is Tuesday, 2/22/22. That is right in the middle of first quarter. We are also hoping to use that same soft opening concept that we used successfully at Lenexa. This is the completion date for our Phase 1 move-in. So in Phase 1, we'll have our branch staff back in the building. The big Central will be back open again on that date. There is one more closure that we'll be bringing to you in a future month. That is to take down those partitions between Little Central and the rest of the building. We expect that's going to take about a week, and we're looking probably at bringing that back in December or January hopefully for approval. That's what I've got for opening this month. Next slide.
Just have one clarifying question on this for Fred. Do we need a motion from the board on approval for the opening date?
I don't think so at this point. It might even be premature.
Okay.
And I think it's arguably a managerial function. I think informing the board is good. But I think you might want to wait to have the board vote on it when it's certain, because I think there's still some questions, correct? I mean, at least possibility.
So
Is it pretty certain?
we're pretty certain that this is a date that the folks moving back into the building are comfortable with.
Well, then you may want to go ahead and have the vote tonight.
Yep. So we have a choice, Madam Chair. We can either vote on it tonight, or this can be an informational item, and we can definitely have time to vote on it in December.
6 one, half dozen of another. We can, if it makes you feel better, we can just do it right now.
It does make me feel better.
Okay, I will take a motion then. Anyone?
I will make a motion to follow Scott's recommendation of an opening on 2/2/22. Get them all right on Tuesday.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Yay, we have
Thank
an
you.
opening day. Little
Thank you.
confetti cannons, if you imagine them.
Thank you, guys. Okay, next steps. This is a kind of a high-level view of what's going to be happening over the next several months over at Central. I'll talk briefly about these. In November, we're continuing at the punch list. Furniture install begins, collection work begins, and IT work continues. December, the collection, IT, furniture continue, and we start moving equipment back in. January, IT still continues. Training starts for staff on new things in the building. And then Phase 1 staff prepare to return. February, we have those Phase 1 staff back. The partitions would come down, and we would transition back to Big Central. And then March and after, we would have our Phase 2 and 3 departments come back in. So those are mostly it's support services that are coming back in at that point. Okay, next slide. Here's a look at our timeline again. We're getting close to the end on the right there. And then I've got a couple of photos to share with you. This is a look at kind of a time lapse of the work on the drive-through. So you'll see that is the one on the far right is where we were at just at the end of October. It was kind of a rainy, cold day that day, so the lighting looks a little different on that one. Next slide. These are a couple of our interior spaces. So the one on the left is the sorter is installed, and then the one on the right, you can see the kids' collection staged there right outside of Carmack. So we'll be getting all new shelves for the kids' collection and moving them from the existing shelves to the new shelves back in the kids' space. That's what I've got for Central this month. I'm happy to introduce Laura Hunt, Internal Communication Manager, who'll give us an update on public and staff communication for the project.
Hello, I'm a little shorter than Scott is. So today I'm going to talk about communication and how we've approached it for the central building upgrade part 2. So we've done staff communication. Staff communication is my focus as the internal communication manager, and it's very important that staff understand the process, understand what's happening, so that they can explain that to patrons when patrons have questions. So I always like to give staff a heads up about changes that are coming, about emails that are going out to patrons, so that when they're the first line of defense when patrons come in and ask a question, they'll have those answers. And then, of course, the direct patron communication is intended to really build excitement, to get people anticipating all those great changes that we're going to be seeing. And so I want to share just a few examples of some of that communication that we've done. For the staff, you can see that we've done photo updates through our staff intranet, and we share all those great images that Scott shares at the board meeting. We share those plus some additional ones with our staff so they can see all that progress that's being made. I've also created a specific project page where we have all of the contact information for all of the project leads that are part of the central building upgrade. We also have an FAQ document where staff can see all the questions that have been asked and find all the answers. And we've done several staff emails where we just give basically an update and then lead people back to those pages where they can find all that information to help share with with patrons. And then on the patron side, we've done some really great stuff with our website where we've done blog posts. We have a construction FAQ where patrons can visit, and of course staff can also visit there, and get up-to-date information about the progress of the project. We send out patron emails whenever there's a big change, so there'll be one going out this week that announces our reopening date, so we're really excited about that. We also share those photos that we share with you at the board meeting. We share those through social media. And then that generates some excitement there, and people can share those photos as well. And of course, we've all got our in-branch and outside of branch signage. And you may have noticed the new sign outside of Central, which looks beautiful. And there'll be some new temporary construction signage going up with the reopening information on it. Next slide. So our next steps are going to be just to continue those progress updates, communicate the reopening date, which I just mentioned that, and also take advantage of some storytelling opportunities. We'll be interviewing some of the project teams that have worked on the project. So the collection team with Lacey Griffin, the move-in team with Nate Hull. So we'll be featuring those groups and talking about the work that they've done to complete this project. Any questions about communication? Okay, thank you very much. And Scott will come back for.
I want to thank you, Laura and Alyssa. You guys have done an amazing job keeping the staff and the public up to date as we work through this project.
Okay, I'll talk a little bit about the Antioch replacement project next. Next slide, please. I'll give you a quick design update, public engagement update, and then present an updated timeline to you. So as far as design, last month Laura let you know that we'd paused the architects while we confirmed our building priorities. We're concluding this work and looking forward to starting back with design. And then on public engagement, we're working on our third public session, which will be like a self-driving webinar through our Library on Demand platform. We've started recording video for this. The next step is to get updated design drawings from the architect and record the architect for the video too. And then once we have a launch date, we'll let you know what it is. Okay, some next steps here on the screen. Over the next few months, there are a few of these. So the first one is to transfer dollars into the Antioch replacement project. There's an action item on the board agenda later tonight to get that started. And those, let's see, we can talk about that one a little bit later. Next up, after that, we will be bringing the final site plan to the city of Merriam for approval when it's ready. And then after that, we'll work with the city to transfer the property. Next slide. So here's a look at the updated timeline. Any questions on Antioch? Okay, one more. That is the capital improvement project timeline summary. Next slide. So this first slide reflects all of those kind of big building projects. This one has been updated to reflect that new Antioch timeline. And let's see, next slide. I've got some new information to present here for you tonight. The first one, we've got one more of these CRP projects that we hope to complete in the near term, and that is Corinth. Unfortunately, we've had another delay on the shipment of those components that we need for Corinth. So there's an action item on your agenda tonight to extend that potential closure window. Next slide. The exciting part for me is I get to share the great work that our facilities partners have put together regarding a capital replacement program forecast. So we anticipate performing work next year in 22 at Gardner, Oak Park, Shawnee, and Cedar Row. These will all likely require some kind of a closure. This work's being coordinated with facilities and library departments, includes different types of infrastructure improvements, replacements and repairs. There's some roof replacements in there, some HVAC things as well. We anticipate closure timelines will be staggered on those, and we'll bring you more specifics in the coming months. Facilities is concentrating CRP work to those 4 branches, and they also wanted me to make sure that you knew that the facilities maintenance team is also ready to attend the rest of the other branches' needs. Okay, that's the end of my report. Thank you all.
Thank you, Scott. I'd like to invite Michelle Beasley to come up and talk to us about cybersecurity and provide an update on where we're at with that.
All right. Hey. Is that in the right spot? Okay, good. Okay. Hi, I'm Michelle Beasley, IT manager here at the library, and I'm here to talk to you about one important element of security, cybersecurity. So today, we'll just kind of provide a brief overview on cybersecurity activities here at the library. So first, to define cybersecurity, you all hear a lot about this in the news, probably at your places of work. It's basically protecting networks, devices, and data from unauthorized access. That sounds like an IT thing, but this is really more than an IT thing. Cybersecurity is just everywhere. Library services rely heavily on technology, as you all know, and the smooth running of technology is vital to providing service to patrons 24/7. The library and the county take cybersecurity seriously. In fact, cybersecurity is part of our strategic priorities. As part of Goal 8, there's an actual tactic that addresses cybersecurity specifically. So to help frame this update and show how the library approaches cybersecurity, I've just kind of organized this into short descriptions of our activities into the 5 most efficient cyber defenders as defined by the Global Chief Information Security Officer at Group SEB and well-known cybersecurity speaker Stefan Napo. Those are anticipation, education, detection, reaction, and resilience. So the cyber defender anticipation is really a good way to refer to cybersecurity risk, anticipating threats and weaknesses in defenses. So understanding our risk is a priority for both IT and library administration. We've developed strong communication channel between IT and library administration related to cybersecurity risk, and we have tools that track specific risks. So during these conversations, we determine how to manage each risk and choose which methodology, mitigate, accept, transfer, or avoid. Those are the things you can do. And then we prioritize resources, funds, staff time appropriately. So an important concept here is that cybersecurity is a journey, ever evolving, ever changing. So the changeable nature of cybersecurity really requires education to continue to be aware of new and evolving threats. So to build this culture of security, we rely on education a lot at the library. This education helps our staff do their part to guard against the threats you see here, like phishing and software vulnerabilities. Oh, and you can stay on that one. Yep. So the learning and development team has taken the lead in security awareness training. Remember how I said it's more than just IT? It's really everyone. We recently developed a deep dive during October, which was Cybersecurity Awareness Month, you may remember. This is a screenshot of a page on our intranet where staff could explore and build skills. We also have monthly ongoing campaigns related to phishing campaigns, and then we also send out nice, short, digestible video training that staff are required to view and do a very good job of keeping track of getting that training completed. So the phishing campaigns actually help staff identify and report emails with malicious links or attachments. Okay. So the cyber defenders of detection and reaction really focus on the library's IT team's activity. So over the last couple of years, we've really improved our monitoring and alerting systems. It's a little badge of honor for us. We have a talented staff who really consider this their happy place, who doesn't love to get lots of alerts. We've also bolstered our procedures for reacting to incidents and calling on resources for support as needed. We appreciate the support from County Department of Technology and Innovation, our friends at DTI, where they have specialists in risk and network security. On to resilience. So the last cybersecurity defense resilience refers to the ongoing and recurring nature of protecting library assets and data. Unfortunately, it's not just one project and you're done. So thinking again like security is a journey, not really just a destination. There are tasks and activities that recur all the time, like keeping software updated with the latest security patches, replacing systems, and regular scanning and testing for security vulnerabilities. So resilience is keeping the technology humming while cybersecurity defense occurs and recurs in the background. It's not the glamorous part of technology at the library, but it's vital. Next slide. So our current initiatives in cybersecurity realm are pretty exciting. We are adding a new position to the team, a security analyst. Super excited on that front, so if you have anyone you want to send my way, please do so. We continue to educate staff through cybersecurity awareness training, and we also continue to monitor for threats and risks. As technology really just continues to expand. It expands throughout our organization and to more patron services all the time. All right, in summary, we talked about the best cyber defenders and gave you a little overview. So thank you for the attention today. I appreciate it. I'm going to turn this over to Tad.
Tad's going to come up and talk about physical security. And I want to thank you, Michelle, for continuing business operations. Cybersecurity is vital for us, and then to be able to continue to offer services to the public to get access to information is also vital. So thank you, Michelle. Great job.
My first time up here, so see if I can get this mic right. There we go. All right. So I'm Ted Twiddle. I'm the physical security specialist here at the library. So I thought it'd be appropriate to just talk a little bit about how my position came to be. So I was hired back in August of 2021. You all at the board had an MOU, which Mr. Logan updated us on what that means, to provide physical security services to the library via the Sheriff's Department in Johnson County. And basically my job is I've been assigned to manage all the physical security issues, and I report to Dave Studheit, which is the Chief Security Officer for the Sheriff's Office. So what is physical security? What does that actually mean? So physical security is defined as the various physical elements designed to safeguard personnel, property, and information. So just like Michelle was talking about in the cyber realm, this is the physical realm of that. So the main components, basically we can broadly define these by a few core components, and one is access control. So anytime you swipe in to go somewhere that's an ID card reader, your physical doors themselves with locks on them, the perimeter gates, and then the surveillance would be the cameras, any security guards and motion detectors, and then the alarm system also interacts with the motion detectors and the burglary alarms and things of that nature. So a broad overview of what you're always trying to do with physical security is provide defense in depth, and that's deter, detect, delay, and respond. The deterrence is the physical barriers that we just talked about, which would go around any kind of given facility. The detection would be the cameras and the surveillance. The delay would be any kind of access control methods so that people can't just pass easily into the facility. And then the response would be the alarm system talking to law enforcement or a central station. So to talk a little bit about the current initiatives that we have, we're updating the access control schedules for staff. We're reviewing the camera placement and positioning. We're prioritizing the alarm panel and access response. We're assessing training needs and opportunities for our staff, and piloting a new physical security system at the Central Resource Library as a part of the CBU2 or Central Building Upgrade Project.
Thank you, Ted. This was really great. We are seeing a slight trend or a slight uptick on some of the incidents we're seeing with patrons, and Ted's going to be helping us kind of analyze that and understand what we need to do. I think we have more of our people that are visiting the library are in some form of social stress, and so whether it's homelessness or mental health, just by looking at the incident reports over the last probably month, we're seeing a slight uptick in that. And that, again, is part of training with staff to provide how to handle and then get those people the resources that they need. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you.
Great. I'd like to invite Alyssa Andre to come up and give an update on the new library card campaign.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here today. I just wanted to, I know I was here a couple months ago talking to you about all of the marketing and communication that we're doing over the next year, and I introduced our library card campaign. So just wanted to come back and talk to you guys about the new library cards that we've rolled out and the campaign to promote library card signups and our e-library. Next slide. So our previous card, which hopefully you guys have, is the little pink card with the 6x6 characters on it, very beloved. We did do some customer research, which showed we could go in a little bit different direction with our next round of library cards. So we developed these 3 designs to give choice and options to personalize. Personalization is very big right now. So the red and blue debuted in 2020 when our pink 6x6 cards began to run out, and our black card is actually debuting next week to coincide with our new marketing campaign. So we want people to take ownership of their library and their experience here. This is your library. This is your card. We also wanted to be playful and kind of go off of a credit card. You know, you have the black card with unlimited rewards, something like that. So the black cards are customizable. Next slide, please. We'll be providing metallic Sharpies to all the front desk staff to let people choose if they would like to write in, you know, the card preferred by board members or the card preferred by Sally Smith. You know, we also have these great stickers that our creative team made up with our 6x6 characters, so we didn't want to forget about kids. Kids love stickers and love to personalize, so we've been handing these out at branches over the last year, and now with the black cards, they'll get, if they're a kid that signs up and chooses the black card or any card, they'll get stickers to customize their library card with their name on it. Next slide, please. We also developed postcards with our vendor Reactor that are hitting mailboxes this week. Hopefully some of you may have received them already. I think they're kind of moving east across the county. Kind of drives to a new e-library landing page, which we developed. Next slide. So this is Discover Your Library e-landing page. That's kind of our tagline. It's a choose your own adventure style. If you have a library card, it sends you off to our revamped e-library page to kind of explore all the great stuff that we have to offer. Maybe, you've had a library card for years, but you don't know what all our e-library offers, so that sends you off in that direction. If you don't have a library card yet, then it takes you to how to sign up for a card, whether that's an e-card or a physical card. Next slide. This is our revamped e-library page, which we just launched a couple weeks ago. We wanted to, when people are clicking through, we wanted to give them somewhere exciting to go. So these colorful, fun, and directs you to some of the great resources that our e-library has to offer. Next slide. So the campaign's going to run for about the next year. We're going to be monitoring the channels over the next couple months and the messaging to know what's working and what's not, so we can constantly be tweaking, listening to our community feedback. So these are some of the places that you'll see our messaging run. We have some great audio spots that we're running on radio stations across the metro. We also have Sirius XM and Pandora ads that are really exciting, that have a visual accompaniment to it. We're working with NCM, who does theater ads, so we're trying that out for a month to see if that's something that's effective. So it's kind of fun to see us in the big screen. And then we also are working with video streaming services. So, in the middle of watching your Hulu show, you might see an ad for Johnson County Library. Coming soon, we're going to redo the truck wraps of the courier trucks that you're seeing throughout the county. And then we also are going to develop a Spanish landing page, which is jocolibrary.org/descubre. And we're working with some of our staff on what that page would include to be more helpful to Spanish-speaking community. So we look forward to reporting back on our successes the next time we come to visit. And if you would like a new card, you're welcome to stop by one of our service desks, and we will switch you out. I know it's hard to let go of your library card number, but it's kind of exciting. So, thank you so much. Any questions?
Do we know how many % of the population in our county does not currently have a library card?
So we have, I think, about 200,000 residents who do have a card. So there's pretty good ability to get new users. We did a survey last winter that showed about 25% of those users are heavy users, and then most of them are, I know we have a library card and I just don't use it that often. So that's kind of who this campaign is targeting, is come back to the library. We've got so much cool stuff to offer. If you don't have a card, come check us out. So thank you.
Yeah, we do a little different, which is we clean up our database for library card users that's what I thought, every 3 years. So as a percentage, it's lower, but we're really looking at people that are using the library, and then identifying those that aren't, so we can reactivate them, or just to kind of send an invitation to them. I'd like to invite David to return to the podium for his second presentation.
Yeah, not so much a presentation, just kind of an update. The Budget Committee has met several times this fall. We had a meeting in October and a meeting in November. And in those meetings, we've reviewed our current economic situation, covered some concerns with what that might do in terms of its impact on the library from a revenue and expense standpoint. We reviewed the current 2022 to 2026 capital plan, along with sources and uses for funding in that plan. And then more recently reviewed our budget principles, looking at our revenue sources, our major cost centers and expense categories. So we've got another meeting upcoming. I don't think we're going to be meeting in December, but I believe sometime early January, hopefully getting our 2023 requests together and bringing that to you this spring for an approval. So with that, I'll take any questions you might have, but we just kind of wanted to update the board on those activities. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And then finally, what I want to talk is about our partnership with the Elections Office. To support Johnson County citizens in the electoral process, Johnson County Library hosted polling places at Blue Valley, Corinth, Monticello, and Oak Park branches on Election Day. The Monticello branch was also an early voting site. Last year, the Johnson County Library Election Office installed ballot boxes at 6 branches, and those remain there. Those are Blue Valley, Central, DeSoto, Gardner, Shawnee, Spring Hill, which gave voters 7x24 access to drop-off locations for mail-in ballots. Additionally, the library provides voter registration forms, advanced voting applications, and free printing of sample ballots and candidate information. Patrons get free access to the Blue Valley Post and the Shawnee Mission Post through the library website. Both of these publications are excellent resources while extensively cover local elections. The library is not a partner with Blue Valley Post, so that's completely unsolicited on how good they are as newspapers. The library data shows between September 1st and November 2nd, library patrons access these papers a total of 4,022 times through our site. Election Day had the highest access count during that time period. A member of our staff at Monticello branch shared the following story. Many people have library cards made during their visit to Monticello as a polling place. I've seen and heard people return within the week just because they were surprised and delighted by the library and its atmosphere when voting. Whether they wanted to use the resources, learn to use the catalog, or just enjoy the space. A member of the Blue Valley Library shared this story. I had a patron come in the other day before the deadline to request a mail-in ballot. I helped him through the scanning and using Fact Zero to submit. He was very thankful that we had the ballot boxes and the library made it so easy for him. Johnson County Library will continue to support voters in elections during 2022 elections via polling places, ballot drop boxes, and through our Civics 101 programming. Any questions concerning that? It's proved to be really popular, and if we can get people into our building for the first time and get them signed up with a library card, I think that's a win-win situation for us. The problem now is they have to pick which color they want. So thank you, Alyssa. They're used to voting. They can pick that. And that concludes the county librarian's report.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And on to our consent agenda. Did we take care of this earlier, the pulling the minutes? Because we needed an amendment?
Yep.
Okay, that we did. It's like, I'm feeling this place was familiar. Okay. Do we need to pass anything with the other minutes?
You just have to accept them, and you've what you need to do, and then you've already given us approval to go ahead and edit and make the changes.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so then we can move on to the the Monticello
If you
project account?
have you voted on the consent agenda?
Okay, so then we still need to do,
Yeah.
so okay, that's what I was asking, is the consent agenda was separate. Okay, because we need to do the board ones. Okay, so then I would take a motion for the consent agenda, please.
I move the library board of directors approve the consent agenda.
And I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Was that a vote for or against the ether? I think that should have been everybody for. It sounded like an
I
aye.
think it was 4.
Okay, fantastic. Just wanted to clarify. Just wanted to make sure. So that motion passes. Okay, so we have no old business, so on to new business, and that is Monticello.
So this is the proposal to consider approving the transfer of $901,884.49 out of the Monticello Library project account and $3,042,956 out of the Comprehensive Library Master Plan project. transferring a total of $3,944,040.49 into the Antioch replacement project account. So though Monticello has been open for a period of time, it takes a couple of years for us to completely close out the project due to warranties and all of those types of things. The project now is considered closed, and we have savings of $901,084.49 from that, which I think is just a testament to the facilities and everyone that was involved with this project, including the construction company and the architects. That leaves us the ability to take that money, combine it with the other $3,042,956, and put that money towards and cash funding towards the Antioch project. Remember, with the Antioch project, for about 50% of that project is cash funded, and what we need is a motion from you as a board to give permission to do that, and then it will go in front of the BOCC and the Public Building Commission to also authorize this. Does anyone have any questions or concerns?
Okay, I would take a motion, please.
I move to approve the transfers of $901,084.49 out of the Monticello Library project account and $3,042,956 out of the Comprehensive Library Master Account Project Holding Project Account into the Antioch Replacement Project Account.
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
And any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, there being no opposition, that motion passes.
I think Scott has alluded to this. We're still having supply chain issues with getting the arc flash upgrades at Antioch. And though here we are looking for approval for closure, but we've kind of extended the window from December through to February to complete that, hoping that the equipment to do that will arrive in that time frame. But we needed a motion. Once we get the equipment in place, we will be able to share with the board potential dates that we're anticipating having to close that location.
Okie dokie. Any questions, comments, or concerns about our arc flash reactor sitting off of a supply boat in LA Harbor? Fantastic. I would take a motion.
I move to approve the temporary closure of the Corinth Library for up to 3 days during December through February to complete electrical arc flash work.
I would take a second.
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion passes. May the odds be ever in your favor.
And the final pieces, we need a motion to go into an executive session for the purpose of personnel review of the county librarian.
I move that pursuant to KSA 75-4319B1, that the Board of Directors of the Johnson County Library recess into executive session for a period of 30 minutes to discuss personal matters of non-elected personnel. The subject of the discussion during the executive session will be the performance appraisal of the county librarian. Those attending the executive session shall include members of the Board of Directors of the Johnson County Library and the county librarian, Sean Casserly.
And a second.
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries. We will be back at 5:39 p.m. Okay, it is 5:39. We are back from executive session. And I have zero recollection if we actually need a motion for what we covered, but we can do that just to be ahead of the game. So if you please, sir.
I will make a motion as the chair of that committee that we did the appraisal and we have voted to give Sean a 4% merit increase.
Okay, need a second?
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries. We are done with that. And the last of our to-do list is somebody needs to propose a motion to get us out of here.
I move the library board of directors adjourn.
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
And that is passed. So see you guys next time. Happy Thanksgiving.